Right now, millions of Americans are staring down what could become the most devastating winter storm in over a decade. And here is what nobody is telling you: this is not just about snow. This is about a perfect storm of crippling ice, record-breaking Arctic air, and a power grid that might not survive the impact. The question is not if this storm will hit. The question is, are you ready for what comes after? Within the next 72 hours, two massive weather systems are about to collide over the United States. One is bringing moisture from the Pacific. The other is dragging some of the coldest air on planet Earth down from the Arctic. When these two forces meet, they will create a weather event that could leave millions without power, strand travelers for days, and push temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below average across multiple states. And here is the twist that changes everything. The coldest air is arriving after the ice storm. Think about that for a moment. Ice-covered power lines snapped by the weight, tree limbs blocking roads, and then temperatures plunge to dangerous levels for days on end. This is not just a winter storm. This is a survival scenario for some communities. But stay with me, because at the 3-minute 20-second mark, I am going to show you the exact cities facing the highest risk and what the computer models are predicting for your specific area. And at the 5-minute mark, I will reveal the critical preparation steps that most people overlook, the ones that could make the difference between being uncomfortable and being in real danger. Let me show you what the experts are seeing. The Weather Prediction Center, these are the top meteorologists in the country, have issued probability maps that are honestly shocking. They are showing a 50 to 70% chance of major winter storm impacts cutting right through the heart of Oklahoma by Saturday. But that is just the beginning. By Sunday, and this number should wake everyone up, there is now a 70 to 90% chance of a major winter storm stretching from Raleigh to Greensboro, through Asheville, and across much of southern Virginia. When was the last time you saw confidence levels that high for a winter storm this far in advance? These are the kind of numbers that make veteran meteorologists nervous, and the storm is not done by Sunday. The models are showing this system could crank up the East Coast and potentially linger all the way into Tuesday of next week. We are talking about a 5-day weather event, not a quick hit. 5 days of ice, snow, and Arctic temperatures. Now, you might be wondering, why is this storm different? Why are we seeing such extreme predictions? The answer lies in something meteorologists call phasing. Let me break this down in a way that makes sense. There are two massive pieces of energy moving across North America right now. The northern stream is bringing the Arctic air, the coldest air on Earth, currently sitting over Canada. At the same time, a southern stream of moisture is moving out of the Pacific through California and riding along the southern states. When these two systems phase together, when they link up over the central United States, they create what is called a bomb cyclone, a rapidly intensifying storm system that feeds on the temperature contrast between the Arctic air and the warm moisture. Here is what makes this setup particularly dangerous. Some of the energy for this storm is still out over the Pacific Ocean right now. It has not even reached land yet. This means we still have time to prepare, yes, but it also means the storm is going to continue gathering strength as it moves inland. Current satellite imagery shows the first piece of energy approaching the west coast. The second piece is right behind it. By Wednesday, we will start seeing the first effects. Light snow showers across parts of the country, rain further south. But by Friday afternoon, everything changes. By Friday afternoon, a potentially record-breaking high-pressure system will be funneling Arctic air southward at an incredible rate. This high pressure is so strong, the models are showing pressure readings that we rarely see outside of the coldest parts of winter, and that Arctic air is going to slam into the moisture-rich southern system. The result? A weather bomb going off across the central and southern United States. Let me give you specific numbers, because numbers tell the story. Temperature anomalies of 30 to 40 degrees below average. That means if your normal temperature for late January is 30 degrees, you could be looking at temperatures near 0 or below. If your normal is 40 degrees, you are looking at single digits or 0. And remember, this is after an ice storm. This is after power lines have been coated in ice, after tree limbs have snapped under the weight, after transformers have blown from the load. The Arctic air arrives when communities are at their most vulnerable. Now, I promised you at the 3-minute 20-second mark I would show you which cities face the highest risk. Here is what the latest model data is showing. Oklahoma City has an 80% chance of receiving at least 4 inches of snow. But snow is actually the better outcome here. The cities facing the most dangerous setup are those in the ice zone. Dallas and Fort Worth are sitting right in the bullseye for a potentially crippling ice storm. The blend of computer models, which averages multiple forecasts together for reliability, is showing ice accumulations of half an inch. But here is the reality check. That is the average. Some individual models are showing 1 inch, 1.5 inches. The most aggressive, reliable models are predicting nearly 2 inches of ice in parts of the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. Let me put that in perspective. 1/4 inch of ice can snap power lines. Half an inch can bring down tree limbs. 1 inch of ice is catastrophic. It can collapse structures. It makes roads completely impassable. Emergency vehicles cannot respond. Power restoration becomes impossible until the ice melts. And Dallas is not alone. Northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, especially around the Texarkana region, these areas are showing the same dangerous ice accumulation forecasts. Northern Mississippi, same story. Then look further east, Columbia, South Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. These major metropolitan areas are currently showing more ice than snow in the forecast models. This could be a crippling ice storm for the southeast, the kind of storm that gets talked about for years. But then shift your eyes to Virginia. This is where the forecast gets interesting in a different way. Virginia has what meteorologists call a very high ceiling for snowfall with this setup. The ensemble models, which run the same forecast multiple times with slight variations, are showing an 80% chance of at least 4 inches of snow across much of Virginia. But here is the kicker. Somebody in Virginia is going to get a foot of snow, maybe more. The northern counties near the Virginia-Maryland border, the areas around Richmond, even parts of the Shenandoah Valley, these regions could see snowfall totals that we have not witnessed in years. West Virginia, Kentucky, they are in a similar boat. Heavy snow is likely. The question is not if, but how much. And if you live in the mid-Atlantic, from the Chesapeake Bay through the Delmarva Peninsula, southern New Jersey, even Long Island, the GFS ensemble model is giving you pretty good odds of significant snow. This storm has the potential to impact a massive swath of the eastern seaboard. For once, the interior northeast, you have had plenty of good snow this year. Right now, it looks like areas further south are going to be the winners or losers, depending on how you look at it, from this event. Now, here is a twist you need to understand. The difference between getting snow and getting ice often comes down to just a few degrees of temperature and a few miles of distance. A tiny shift in the storm track, a small change in the cold air arrival time, and an area forecasted for snow could end up with ice instead, or vice versa. This is why you cannot just look at one model run and assume that is your forecast. The exact details, exact precipitation types, exact timing, these will continue to shift as we get more data. But the broad strokes are clear. A major winter storm is coming. Ice will be a significant factor across the South. Heavy snow is likely from Oklahoma through Virginia, and Arctic air will settle in behind it all. That Arctic air deserves its own discussion because this is the part that has me genuinely concerned. And we are approaching the 5-minute mark where I promise to reveal the critical preparation steps. Temperature anomalies 30 to 40 degrees below average do not just mean uncomfortable cold. When you combine that cold with potential power outages, it becomes life-threatening. Look at what the models show. By Saturday morning, the upper Midwest, areas that might not even see heavy snow or ice, will be 40 degrees below average. It is already cold in late January. This is peak winter climatology, the coldest time of year for millions of Americans. Now subtract another 40 degrees from that. We are talking about wind chills that could reach 30 to 50 below zero in some locations. And that Arctic air does not just visit, it settles in. The ensemble models show this cold air mass staying locked in place for the next 15 days. Now maybe that is a bit aggressive. Maybe it will moderate slightly. But even if it is only a week of brutally cold temperatures, combined with power outages, that is dangerous. This is the scenario that keeps emergency managers awake at night. Ice storms that knock out power, followed by prolonged, dangerous cold. No way to heat homes, no way to travel for help. Roads blocked by fallen trees and ice. This was the situation in Texas in February 2021, and thousands of people suffered. Some lost their lives. I am not saying this to scare you. I am saying this because now is the time to prepare. You have 72 to 96 hours before this storm arrives. That is plenty of time. And preparing for the worst case while hoping for the best case is always the right strategy. So here are the critical preparation steps that most people overlook. First, prescriptions. If you or anyone in your household takes daily medication, get those prescriptions refilled now. Do not wait until Friday. Pharmacies could be closed. Roads could be impassable. Make sure you have at least a 2-week supply. Second, water and food. You need at least 1 week of non-perishable food and water, not 3 days, 1 week. If the power goes out, your refrigerator becomes useless. If the roads are impassable, grocery stores become unreachable. Canned goods, dried foods, anything that does not require refrigeration or cooking. And 1 gallon of water per person per day. For a family of 4, that is 28 gallons for a week. Third, heat. This is the big one that people forget. How will you stay warm without power? If you have a fireplace or wood stove, stock up on firewood now. If you have a generator, test it. Make sure it works. Get extra fuel. And never, never run a generator inside your home or garage. Carbon monoxide poisoning is a real danger. If you do not have a generator or fireplace, identify the smallest room in your house that you can heat and insulate. Close off the rest of the house. Hang blankets over doorways. Everyone sleeps in that one room if the power goes out. Body heat in a confined space can make a significant difference. Fourth, communication. Charge all your devices fully before the storm hits. Get backup battery packs charged. If cell towers lose power, you might lose cell service. But even if you do, a charged phone with downloaded information can still be valuable. Download offline maps. Download important documents. Take photos of insurance cards and important papers. Fifth, check on others, your elderly neighbors, family members who live alone, people with medical conditions. Have a plan to check on them. Have a plan to bring them to a safer location if needed. Do not assume someone else will do it. Sixth, your vehicle. Fill up your gas tank now. If the power goes out, gas stations cannot pump fuel. A full tank means you can run your car periodically for heat if absolutely necessary. Just make sure your exhaust pipe is clear of snow and never idle in an enclosed space. Seventh, the things you might not think about. If you eat out a lot, if your pantry is usually pretty empty, fill it up now. You will not be able to just drive to a restaurant. Roads could be impassable for days. The same goes for pet food if you have animals. Make sure you have enough to last a week or more. And here is something else to consider. Entertainment and morale. If you lose power for several days, if you are stuck inside with no internet, no television, that can wear on people mentally. Have books, board games, cards, anything to pass the time. This sounds minor, but mental health during a crisis is important. Now, I want to talk about what happens after the storm, because this is where the real challenge could begin. The ice accumulation that the models are showing could cause massive tree damage. Trees weighted down by 1 inch of ice will snap. Limbs will fall across power lines. Entire trees will topple. This creates a cascading problem. Utility crews cannot restore power until they can access the damaged infrastructure, but they cannot access it until roads are cleared. Roads cannot be cleared until crews can safely operate equipment. And none of this can happen while ice is still accumulating and temperatures are dangerously cold. In a worst-case scenario, and I want to emphasize this is worst case, some communities could be without power for a week or longer. Not because utility companies are not trying, but because the damage is so extensive and the conditions are so dangerous that restoration takes time. This is why preparation is so critical. A 3-day power outage is manageable if you are prepared. A 7 to 10-day outage in sub-zero temperatures is a survival situation if you are not prepared. Let me show you what the computer models are specifically predicting because the details matter. The GFS model, one of the primary forecasting tools, shows the storm really ramping up on Friday afternoon. By Friday evening, heavy snow is spreading across Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. Ice is beginning to accrete across Texas and Louisiana. This is not a quick-moving system. It is slow. That means prolonged precipitation, longer time for ice to build up, more total snowfall. By Saturday morning, the storm is in full force. The GFS shows heavy snow from Oklahoma City up through Tulsa into southern Missouri, through southern Illinois, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Meanwhile, ice continues to build across the south. Dallas remains in the ice zone through Saturday evening in this model run. By Saturday night and into Sunday, the storm reaches the Carolinas and Virginia. This is where the models show some of their heaviest snowfall totals. Virginia could see rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour at times. When snow falls that quickly, even prepared communities struggle to keep roads clear. The European model, which is often considered the most reliable for major weather events, tells a very similar story. It shows the storm taking shape Friday, intensifying Saturday, and reaching the East Coast by Sunday. The European model has been remarkably consistent on this pattern. Day after day, run after run, it keeps showing a major winter storm for this weekend. That consistency matters. When models agree this far in advance, it increases confidence in the overall forecast. The specific details, exact amounts, exact locations, those will continue to shift. But the big picture is clear. Both the GFS and European models also agree on what happens after the storm. The Arctic air mass settles in and stays. This is not a quick shot of cold air. This is a prolonged period of dangerous temperatures. The AI models, which are newer forecasting tools that use machine learning, show similar solutions. They pick up on the same pattern: major winter storm this weekend, heavy ice across the south, significant snow from the plains through the mid-Atlantic, Arctic outbreak behind it. When all your models, traditional and AI-based, are showing the same general pattern, that is when you need to pay attention. The ensemble models, which run the same forecast dozens of times with slight variations, give us probability data, and the probabilities are high, very high for this far in advance. Over 80% probability of at least 4 inches of snow in Oklahoma City. Over 80% probability in parts of Virginia. These are not low-confidence forecasts. These are high-confidence predictions. For ice, the probabilities are even more concerning. The Weather Prediction Center is showing 70 to 90% chance of winter storm impacts, which is a polite way of saying significant ice accumulation across a huge swath of the South. Now, could this forecast change? Could the storm shift track or weaken? Yes, that is always possible. Weather forecasting is not perfect. We do not have crystal balls, but the trend in the data over the past several days has been consistency. The models have not been bouncing all over the place. They have been locked in on this pattern. And here is what experience teaches us. When models are this consistent, this far out, they are usually right about the big picture. They might be off on specific details, sure. The storm might track 50 miles north or south of what is currently forecast. Snowfall totals might be higher in some areas and lower in others, but the overall event, the major winter storm, that is very likely to happen. So where does this leave us? What should you be doing right now? If you live anywhere from Texas to Virginia, from Oklahoma to the Carolinas, you need to be preparing, period. Go to the store today or tomorrow. Get your supplies. Do not wait until Thursday or Friday when everyone else panics. The store shelves will be empty. Gas stations will be packed. Prepare for the possibility of being without power for up to a week. I hope that does not happen. I truly do. But hope is not a strategy. Preparation is a strategy. If you have travel plans this weekend, reconsider them. If you absolutely must travel, do it before Friday. Once this storm hits, travel could be impossible. Flights will be canceled. Roads will be closed. You do not want to be stranded at an airport or on a highway. For those of you who must work through the storm, emergency personnel, healthcare workers, utility crews, make sure your employer has plans in place. Make sure you have what you need to stay safe. And here is something that does not get talked about enough: mental preparation. A major winter storm, especially one with prolonged power outages, is stressful. It is exhausting. People get frustrated. Tempers flare, especially if you are cooped up in a cold house with family members for days on end. Prepare yourself mentally for that possibility. Have patience. Have grace. Check on your neighbors even if you are struggling yourself. We get through these situations by helping each other. Now, what about timing? When exactly should you expect the worst conditions in your area? For Oklahoma and Texas, Friday evening through Saturday is your critical window. That is when ice accumulation will be highest. That is when power outages are most likely to begin. For Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, Saturday into Sunday. Same story. Ice accumulation overnight. Power outages likely. For Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia, Saturday through Sunday. You are more likely to see snow than ice, but travel will be extremely difficult. Interstates could be shut down for the Carolinas and Virginia, Sunday into Monday. This is your critical window. Heavy snow is likely. Some areas could see over a foot. Roads will be impassable. Power outages are possible, though less likely than in the ice zones further south and west. For the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, Monday into Tuesday. By the time the storm reaches you, it might be winding down, or it might be intensifying if the Miller A setup that some models are showing verifies. This part of the forecast has lower confidence right now, but keep watching. Updates will come. And then after the storm passes, the Arctic air arrives everywhere. Tuesday through at least the following weekend. Temperatures will remain dangerously cold. Wind chills will be brutal. This is when checking on elderly neighbors becomes critical. This is when making sure people have heat becomes life or death. I want to emphasize one more time. This forecast could change. The storm could shift. It could weaken. It could strengthen. Specific details will absolutely change. But the broad pattern is clear. Major winter storm this weekend. Dangerous cold behind it. Prepare now. Here is what we will be watching over the next few days. As the energy for this storm moves onshore, weather balloons will sample the atmosphere. This will give us much better data on exact temperatures, moisture levels, and wind patterns. That data will allow the models to fine-tune their forecasts. By Thursday, we should have a much clearer picture of exact snowfall amounts and ice accumulation. By Friday morning, we will know with high confidence who is getting what, but by Friday morning, it is too late to prepare. You need to prepare now, today, tomorrow at the latest. One final thought. I would rather be wrong about this forecast and have you prepared than be right and have you unprepared. If I am wrong, if this storm somehow falls apart or shifts away, you can tell me I overreacted. That is fine. I will take that criticism. But if I am right and you are not prepared, that is a much worse outcome. So here's what you do after watching this. Make a list. Write down everything you need. Prescriptions, food, water, heat source, fuel, batteries, phone chargers. Then go get those things. Check off each item. Do not procrastinate. Then make a plan. Where will you shelter if you lose power? How will you stay warm? Who will you check on? Who might check on you? Write it down, share it with family members, then monitor the forecast. Updates will be coming multiple times per day. The data is going to continue coming in. We will be providing the latest information as it becomes available, but the time to act is now, before the storm, before the rush, before the panic sets in. This is potentially the biggest winter storm in over a decade for a reason. Multiple factors are coming together at the worst possible time. Ice accumulation that could cripple infrastructure, heavy snowfall that could strand millions, Arctic air that could endanger lives. But with preparation, with planning, with community support, we can get through this. We have the warning, we have the time, we have the knowledge of what is coming. Now we need the action. Stay informed, stay safe, and start preparing right now. This storm is coming. The only question is whether you